Your toughest opponents are not always just across the other side of the net. To win any match, there are 4 things you must complete to be able to take your game to the next level. The first one is that we need to beat ourselves before we can beat anything else. So when we go to number 1 point here, what I want you to realize is we need to beat ourselves first. And what I mean by that is in our own minds, we play games. We think about things like, I can't win, or I can't serve, or I'm really struggling here, or can I beat them? Or, there's all these self-doubt that comes into play. So the number 1 opponent you must beat to win any match is yourself. The second one is, before we can actually go and think about what our opponent is doing, we have to beat the environment. So on any given day, you've got a different court, you've got different balls, it could be a bit of wind, it could be a little bit of sun, could be hot, could be cold. We have to beat the environment second. So we play ourselves first, we beat the environment second. Before we can again beat the opponent, the third one is the court. So if we think about, firstly, we've conquered our own demons in our own mindset, we've thought through many different scenarios in our own head, got through that. We've decided that, okay, we know what we're going to do in the wind, whether it's, we serve with the wind, we put more spin on the ball, or we play with a bit more margin for error. Against the wind, we might hit through the ball a little bit more to make sure we can get some penetration through the wind. We might use drop shots, against the wind as well. The third one is the court. And when I mean the court, when we think about the court, all we have to do is understand there's 3 ways that we can lose a point. That is into the net, in here, it is wide, and it is long. Our job as opponents is to ensure that we beat the court first. So we're keeping the ball obviously inside the lines and over the net. That is the number 1 priority before we can beat our 4th opponent, which is our opponent, the person that we are playing up the other end of the court. So there's 3 major steps, which are beat yourself, beat the environment, beat the court, before we can focus anything on the opponent. And as I said, if we can't keep the ball in the court first and foremost, it makes it almost impossible to even worry about what the opponent is doing. I call this the 80-20 rule. So 80% of what we are doing is basically beating these 3 things, and the 20% is the opponent. Because at the end of the day, we have to focus on the things we can control and making sure we do our part in that area before we get to trying to beat the opponent.